I'd like to welcome everyone to the Belcara Management Talk. Very nice to be back at the Cambridge conference with the crowd that we see here this year. This has been a long time coming in our sector. I'm going to be presenting today Silver Viper Minerals, which is one of 3 public companies within our group's management. We also have Barsele Minerals, which is a joint venture with Agnico Eagle in Sweden, and Fresnillo and Pan American Silver with Orex Minerals in Durango, Mexico. I will be making some forward-looking statements today, so I'll draw your attention to that slide. We just recently announced in Silver Viper a joint combination with Canasil Resources. We're currently doing our due diligence on this deal. We expect to sign a definitive agreement on some form of a transaction here in the near future. But what it's done is it's really given us exposure to 10 very exciting assets, both in Mexico and in Canada, gold, silver, and base metals focuses, depending on which asset within the Canasil portfolio you're looking at. And with us, we've always been at Silver Viper, we've had the La Virginia asset, which is a world-class, strong gold-silver asset in Sonora, Mexico, but we've always wanted to have a secondary asset. We've always seen the value in a spin-out. We've done it in past groups. In Orex Minerals, we spun out Barsele and created a lot of value for shareholders on that. If we get bought for our La Virginia asset within Silver Viper, we definitely would want to have an asset that we could spin out as a free dividend to shareholders moving forward. Yeah, and you can see the deal. It was a simple at-market merger, four shares of Canasil to 1 share of Silver Viper. It was done at market. When we originally negotiated, it was actually at a discount. By the time the deal was announced, we were trading at that 4-to-1 ratio. We're currently doing a raise as part of that transaction. We have to raise up to $1 million, as part of our deal with Canasil, and that's ongoing. If you're interested in participating in that, please stop by our booth. This gives you an idea of what the capital structure will look like after the deal is completed. Again, it's about just over 30 million shares of dilution, but again, getting that portfolio of assets we think is definitely worth the deal. We'll be able to option various projects out to other companies and be able to raise capital in a non-dilutionary way moving forward with some of those assets, whether it's through the sale of NSRs or getting shares in other companies. Right now in Mexico, you're unable to stake new claims, so the only way you're going to get new projects in Mexico is coming to people that have existing projects and optioning them from them. And you can see where they are. This is the silver belt of Mexico. Most of the largest silver mines in Mexico are in Zacatecas and in Durango State. Again, here, depending which asset you're looking at, you're next to some of the largest silver mines in the world. That being said, our main focus is still our flagship La Virginia asset. This is an asset we took over in 2018. It was originally a mine finder's asset. It was their number 1 exploration asset when they were bought for $1.5 billion by Pan American Silver. And we got involved, and why we got involved with this asset is we saw the potential, not only with what already been found, but this was this project target-rich environment where we knew we were going to be able to step in and make additional discoveries. And that's what we did in the El Rubi area of this project. Since then, we've delineated and come up with a maiden resource on the project. We're sitting currently at around 700,000 gold equivalent ounces or 49 million silver equivalent ounces. We're about 60% gold, 40% silver on that asset, but it's just a start. That asset is built around an open pit heap leach deposit. We've shown with our high-grade breccia structures that you can hit those multi-kilogram silver numbers with high-grade gold. These are vertical structures that we're going to continue to chase down at depth and develop a maiden underground resource. Again, we're over here. We're in eastern Sonora, right between the states of Chihuahua and Sonora. This particular belt is highly underexplored, which you can't say a lot in Mexico. Most of that particular mountain trend that runs through that area is you can't get to it. There aren't road access. Where we are here, we take a paved highway to the local town in Corrichico, and from there we're about 30 minutes in on a well-kept gravel and dirt road. A lot of the work that we've been doing over the last 6 months has been focused around mapping and sampling in that area, trying to identify additional targets besides El Rubi, where we made our discovery. And one of the targets on that, you can see El Molino has definitely come right to the forefront. We're seeing parallel breccia structures in that area. We're getting some very high grades in our chip samples, and we're seeing very nice geophysical anomalies and targets developing there. We've also, if you looked at some of our recent releases, we've had some nice grades coming from El Oriental, Macho Libre, and then if you go even further north, you got Paradonis and El Rubi North. What makes El Rubi special, where we made our discovery, and what's kind of opened the eyes to this being an open pit heap leach operations, El Rubi sits on a flat plateau. It's about 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers. We made our discovery on the southern end of that plateau, but that becomes far more favorable for open pit mining just based on the topography. Where mine finders and Pan American were exploring was in very hilly. It's allowed us to do some starter pits on their area, but the bulk of the deposit is in that El Rubi area where we made our discovery. You can see some of the grades. When we're looking at the grades here, again, this was built around an open pit heap leach deposit. And when I say that, compare apples to apples, a lot of people are trained grade is king, grade is king, grade is king, and that's true when you're comparing similar type deposits. The average open pit heap leach gold mine in the state of Sonora operates at a 0.5 gram gold average grade and has virtually no silver component to it. So you look at our resource, we've got 0.8 in the indicated category and 0.9 in the inferred at El Ruby. And then on top of that, we've got another 0.5 gram gold of grade in silver. The next question is, can you recover it? We've done our base metallurgy. We see that the low-grade silver can be recovered over 70% and the gold recovered at over 90% across all grade ranges. Again, checking off a very important box on the asset. But we're sitting there with a resource that's sitting at double or triple the grade of the other operating mines in the state. I've shown that we've got, a starter deposit. Most of those mines started at about 500,000 ounces of gold, so we're already past that threshold, with still lots of room for that to expand. And, we're sitting here at a very cheap share price right now, and it should be an asset that very much stands itself out against most of our peer group and certainly the other companies that are operating in the state of Sonora. Again, hard for you guys to see. Again, we've got handouts in the booth, but again, this shows some of the high grades that we see in our breccia structure, where I'm talking about the kilogram and multi-kilograms of silver associated with high-grade gold. But when we also have that high-grade structure, again, the open pit side is in our footwall, we get about a 20 to 80 meter wide structure that runs that gram to gram and a half gold. And then 100 meters to the west, we get another 100 meter wide structure, again, running at that kind of gram gold equivalent or up to a gram and a half gold equivalent. And so it's the combination of that broad, low-grade disseminated mineralization with our high-grade breccia structures that make El Ruby really special. One of the things that we've been moving forward, and we had a large investor take an investment in our company previously, and he dove into our database and he said, you're onto a gold carbonate base metal system. And when you look at our results, you say, well, there's no base metals. Where's this gold carbonate system referring to? And where that's going to come is at depth. Where our mineralization was happening is in the andesite horizon, which it's a great horizon, allows for the fluids to percolate out, get these broad mineralization. Below that, we have the rhyolite package. It's very tight. While we still can see mineralization in that package, it doesn't allow for the fluids to percolate out. It's not great for mining. But where the gold carbonate base metal side will come in when we test it at depth, and it's going to be where the contact between the system below the rhyolite and that rhyolite package, and when fluids hit that, they're going to disperse out and create a broad halo of mineralization that will, and if it's a metasediment package, that's the carbonate side. So you're going to see the base metal numbers pick up. You'll still have high-grade gold and silver, and we see bits of that in our core at El Ruby. We'll get these little chunks of sulfides that have been blasted up from depth when mineralization was happening here, and those, we'll get a 0.5 meter that runs at 3-4% copper with zinc while still having high-grade gold and silver, and that's what we're looking for when we test this at depth. And here you can see the pit model at Ruby and in the historic area. You see a lot of that block model that was outside of the resource. Again, in the historic area, that's based on topography. As metal prices have moved up and we use higher gold prices, you'll be able to expand those pits and bring in some more of those ounces. At El Ruby, the main, if you had a shovel, you just scoop them up, but it's not in the resource. But those blocks that just don't have enough tons to be included in an underground resource are running at about 15 grams gold and 300 silver, sitting just below that pit. So again, we're showing the potential to developing an underground high-grade resource as well on top of our open pit. This was as of the resource. Since then, we've actually filled in the drilling down to the southern portion of that, which is off to the right side of that image at the bottom of the arroyo. Again, that's right at the start of the 2-kilometer plateau. So again, very favorable for open pit. You're not going to have a pit wall on the southern side as you work your way down to the bottom of the arroyo. As you come to the west, it also falls off. So again, you shouldn't have much of a wall on the western side of your pit. And then as you move north, that's where your wall into the east. Again, we believe we've already expanded the 300 meters down to the bottom of that. The geophysics that we recently did shows that mineralization towards the north end of that pit has shifted to the east. But we'll be going back and testing that and continue to expand that pit to the north. I already mentioned metallurgy. Again, a very important box to check off there. You can see the simple bottle rolls that we did. Seeing gold recoveries across 90% is obviously very good. And then especially that sample 4, which ran the low-grade silver, and seeing that at 76% was also a very good sign. So with that, that's a quick summary. We don't have too much time to chat today. Please come by the booth 434. Ask us any questions. We can dive in further about the Canisil deal or La Virginia. If you're interested in the placement, please don't be scared to reach out. But again, thank you for taking your time. I think this is a very exciting time for gold and silver finally coming back to prominence. I think the fact that we have as many people at this conference is a sign that people are finally ready and gearing back and understanding that we're right at the start of a cycle here in precious metals. And so again, I don't think there's a lot of companies out there that have the exposure to gold and silver that we do. And so please feel free to reach out. And I think it's a great place to start investing. Thank you.